So today we're going to discuss pretty privilege and is it actually a thing?
Those that have pretty privilege will never understand what it's like for the rest of us. Not to say that pretty people don't have their own sets of problems, I'm sure they do, but pretty people, they don't really have to work. Some of them do, but a lot of them get to just come on this app and lip sync for 5 seconds, and suddenly they have brand deals and thousands of dollars.
What could be the downside to quote unquote pretty privilege? First thing I want to say though is that pretty privilege does not equal self confidence. And just because someone is deemed attractive by the outside world, to me, it does not mean that they feel attractive inside. You don't know what their background is, you don't know their life experiences. And as we saw earlier this week, unless you lived under a rock, we saw the Diddy and Cassie Ventura case taking place step by step via social media. And to me, Cassie is deemed a pretty woman. She's gorgeous. She's always been very pretty. But I looked at it like there's no way that you could have any self-confidence allowing the things that were said to happen to you happen if you had some type of like dignity or pride. And I'm not getting into DV today. We're not really talking about that. We are just speaking about people who are not even just pretty, just deemed attractive. This can go for both men and women.
Pretty privilege is real, and here's how you can use it to your advantage. So here are 3 signs that you're more attractive than you think, and this can apply to both men and women. Number 1, people are willing to go out of their way to help you with things. Most people would not go out of their way to help you with things unless they found you physically attractive or liked something about you. Just think about it. Why does the bouncer let in the pretty girl first and lets her skip the entire line while you're still waiting there for like an hour? That's because people are willing to go out of their way to help you. Number 2, you attract positive attention. People are generally polite and respectful when they interact with you. They may even compliment your physical appearance, like your eyes, your hair, your smile, etc. And this same type of energy won't be reciprocated when someone ugly is talking, let's be real. And lastly, number 3, people tend to be way more forgiving when you make a mistake. And this is because of something called the halo effect, where people just assume the best out of you because you're attractive.
Do we feel that men or women who are relatively attractive or considered attractive by the majority of the world, do they get certain entitlements and certain privileges? And when they do, if they do go through a situation like Cassie did, you know, how are people reacting and saying, well, she should have just gotten out of it? I've heard a few people say, you know, she's so pretty, she could have just moved on to somebody else with money who could have assisted her with all of her financials because apparently Diddy gave her a lot of things, cars, money, bags, jewelry, you name it. But initially Cassie wanted a music career. You know, and let's be honest, Cassie was not the best singer. She did have some like bangers. She did have some bangers back in the day, but she was not the best singer. And I'm not bashing Cassie because there are a lot of people who aren't great singers, but if you look around, you'll see a lot of people who are not that talented, but they're deemed socially pretty or socially attractive and they get the gigs sometimes. They get the gigs. So I'm kind of hoping that like with this case being unfolded the way it has been unfolded, that people start to, and younger people especially, start to realize that just because you are beautiful or change your outward appearance to make yourself more beautiful or more socially acceptable on Instagram. Hence the filters. You'll see women that sometimes and men that I think that they look better without filters than filters. But filters have become such a natural thing in social media that people feel the need to use a filter to enhance their picture to make them get the more likes, the double taps, the comments, the engagement. And really I just, wanted to discuss with you what your thoughts were on attractive privilege, pretty privilege. Where does it really get you if you don't have self confidence? Because if you are, to me, I think there's somebody out there for everyone. I can really say that I do think that there's someone out there for everyone. But to me, if you are, and I hate using scales because it just seems, I don't know. It just seems really weird when someone says that girl's a 10 or that guy's a 10 or that girl's a 3 or that girl's a 5. Like when you use scales, it just kind of seems kind of like inhumane to me. It's kind of weird, like you're just judging someone on the outside. I have seen people who, in my opinion, who were quote unquote a 10, they have no personality. They have zero personality at all. And they have no sense of style. And their outside looks could be what we would call in society a 10, but because of the no personality or because they're a nasty person, that could just bring them down to like a 5. So the people who are attractive are actually being said to get more visual likes, brand deals on Instagram, TikTok.
I would love to be so beautiful that I can just do whatever I want in life. But make no mistake, I don't hate pretty people. If I had pretty privilege, I would use it. If you've got it, use it. I don't care. But if you do have pretty privilege, you will never understand what it's like to be normal. You'll never understand the struggle. I make good money and I can barely afford to pay my bills. I think God knew that if he made me pretty, I would be too powerful.
Look, do you guys agree with that or don't you? Do you see someone that's maybe not as talented? And if you're a creator, you could say, I feel like I create better than this person or I deliver I deliver the product better than this person. And this is not just for content creation. This could be at work, this could be at school. But this one person, they are considered the 10. And sometimes they don't have to work as hard as somebody who is considered the 5, the 3, the 7, the 2. I mean, I don't know if you guys have experienced that. I don't know where I am on the scale. I really don't care. I'm happily married. I'm very self confident within. So, where I am on the scale at this point in life, I don't really care. But I know that for some people, it is a big thing. They do feel like they've been overlooked because they are not deemed socially attractive or as attractive as a person that could be deemed like their competitor. I'm here to say this that just because you are or you might be not really in competition, but you might be on a playing field with someone who has this quote unquote privilege. I think it's very important after seeing the Cassie Ventura case that you have some type of self worth because being pretty, being self confident, or having self respect does not put you on a playing field where you're better than anyone else. If anything, hearing the events of this case made me feel incredibly sorry for her. I felt sorry for her that she felt that she needed to do these things to be accepted because the only way that you would stay in that type of relationship is to want to be accepted and to have those things done to you. And I'm not going to go over them. I mean, they're everywhere. If you don't even know who Cassie Ventura is or Diddy, I don't know how you don't. But if you just Google the things that were said that she did during this 10-year span, there is no way, as gorgeous as she is, there's no way that if you had some type of respect or self confidence that you would allow this to happen. Someone has stripped you of that somewhere in your life. And this is not a jab at her, but it's saying that a person with you could be a 5 and have the self-respect of a 10. And some of the things that happened to her, you would not even remotely allow to happen to you. So I just think that people need to start looking at people, not just saying, is that person pretty? That's not something just to admire or just to say, oh, I want to be so pretty. But to me, I feel like self-confidence and self-worth go a lot a lot further than just being socially attractive. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I know this video was just kind of out of nowhere, but I was very, very involved in this case or engulfed in this case this week. And hearing the things that I heard, I just was like, I don't see how someone could allow that to happen to them. But I understand that if you don't have confidence, if you don't feel self worth, if somebody strips you from those things, you're going to allow pretty much anything. And I think we've all been in relationships where, if depending on how old you are, you have been in a relationship where you might have allowed someone to get away with a little bit more than they should have because maybe your self-confidence or your self-worth was stripped in that relationship. Maybe you thought you couldn't get anyone else. But I just think that people need to know that pretty privilege is not enough. And no matter how much society puts out there that pretty privilege gets you all of these things, it's really nothing if you don't have self-worth, self-confidence, if you don't have a way to, if you're just so pretty that you'll allow anything to happen to you, or if you're so pretty that you'll just use that to get whatever you want, and then you still have no pride or dignity, I mean, what's worth more? What is worth more? What are your thoughts? Do you think pretty privilege or attractive privilege is a thing? I do. I absolutely do think it's a thing. I do think that some people that are deemed socially attractive, they don't have to work as hard. It's just the truth. You just look in the workplace, look at school. I mean, it's been happening. It's been happening for years. Look at some of the artists that we have, in the world, as far as music, as far as acting. Pretty privilege to me is an actual thing. I wanted to know your thoughts on it. And yeah, we can just chat about it down below. I'll get with you guys in the next video. And thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Talk to you later. Peace.